Everybody to the Town of Conway Joint Select Board Finance Committee meeting for Monday, Cinco de Mayo. Call the meeting to order. We'll jump down to new business at the very bottom. Discussion and vote on appointment of a grant manager for 2 Life Path grants. Mr. Cantor is joining us here today. Sorry, I have to mute this phone.
Mr. Cantor is the only applicant for the job that we have posted.
Hey, I'm the best applicant.
Wait, okay.
Yeah.
Best and only.
So the term for both, not the term, the name for both Life Path grants.
One's the senior home services and one's the senior driving services.
Senior home and senior driving services. I will make a motion to elect Phil Cantor to be the manager for both Life Path grants for senior services on transportation and housing.
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Cantor.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. I'll try not to let you down.
Good luck and Godspeed.
If I do, I'm trying to let you down, Jim.
Make sure you water your horse out there.
I'm gonna try to make it Thursday.
Yes, also, yeah, they're making a plug for the talk on
Yes.
Thursday for the Joseph Hawley, Samuel Ely talk. I won't bore people.
So anybody watching, if they watch in time, at the Historical Society,
7
at 7 p.m., Phil will be discussing Joseph Hawley. So make it if you can.
On Thursday.
Thursday.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Yeah.
You have a quorum. Would you care to open?
Oh, my goodness. I'm getting caught up in all these late emails. Hold on.
We can continue on new business if you need.
Yeah,
some.
please, thanks. I just want to get this email transferred with the new
Okay,
information.
let's just start at the top. Vote to approve meeting minutes of April 28th.
I make a motion to approve. Those look good.
I will second. We have, at least that is going to be part of the joint committee. So for warrants, looked over the warrants, nothing out of the ordinary. So I'll go ahead and make a motion to approve the accounts payable warrant in the amount of $108,746.03. The payroll warrant in the amount of $136,236.80. And the payroll deduction warrant in the amount of $34,543.68.
Second.
Thank you. Meetings attended by select board members.
None since last week.
Veronique, Ron and I met with some residents on concerns for the repaving around Orchard and Maple, but that wasn't really a meeting, but we did attend it. Public comments, none. No unfinished business. On to new business. Discussion and vote on the Germain scholarships. So in past years, we took the interest that was earned on the account, divided that interest by how many applicants we had, and that would be the sum for each of the applicants. I think that has been a good model.
Yeah.
I would suggest we continue to use that model.
And we had 4 applicants this year?
No, there's 6.
Six. Yeah.
6?
And the deadline's gone.
18th of April.
So what's the amount that each, or that we're going to
I
award?
think he's in there.
You said how many?
There's 6 in there.
What's the interest from last year?
Interest is 24,49274 6.
That's how many applicants there are?
There's 6 applicants.
That's a lot for.
Yeah, well, and I gave the amount that we gave last year.
That's over double.
What did we award last year for first?
It's 1,744. How about 2,000 this year?
I think that sounds reasonable.
All right, I'll make a motion to vote that each of the 6 applicants for the Germain Foundation Scholarship receive $2,000 each.
Second.
Congratulations to those 6 applicants.
You ready?
Yes, I make the motion to call the finance committee meeting to order. 6:05, and I make a motion to approve the finance committee meeting minutes of April 28th.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
All right, thank you.
All right, since we have our police chief here, why don't we move down to the second to the bottom, second to last on the list, a discussion vote of line fund transfer request for the police department. Do we have the proper request in front of us now?
The dates seem accurate.
Is there anything you'd like to discuss on this, or?
Do you guys have any questions?
Yeah,
thoughts,
just
concerns?
my questions are which accounts specifically using English?
So both of them are coming from the payroll,
Okay,
and one is going into, I can't remember which fund that one is. 420 and 440. 420,
420 is
I think, is miscellaneous office equipment
office
type
supplies,
thing.
yeah.
And then the other one is software, the 440.
440 software.
which one is, okay, 440 is soft.
Yeah, 440 software.
And the other one was miscellaneous?
Yes.
Well, the other one's office supplies.
Office supplies?
Yeah.
So 111 is office supplies.
No, 111 is payroll.
Payroll.
From one, that's
From
from,
111, from payroll to software.
and the other one's from payroll to
Office supplies. There's 2 different costs.
I mean, I can talk.
So
on
is,
both of
so
them.
firearms are considered office supplies?
That's because I don't have,
You don't
I
have
have to put them into a.
some category, yeah, some
Yeah.
account.
Yeah.
Okay, and
So-
I'm surprised we don't have a separate account for that.
Kenny never had.
That's-
it.
Helps put holes in paper, right?
Paperweight.
That's how you make the 3
The hole
ring
punch.
binders, yeah.
Good, it's a one hole punch.
Okay, that,
Very powerful.
I have a question.
Yeah,
So the current firearm in inventory, how old is it?
they're about 17 years old.
17?
Yeah, it's way overdue.
No, that can't be, because we bought some not that long ago.
Not since I've been.
17 years ago.
Then I've been on this committee longer than
Yes, I was able to track down the invoice, going through Jerk Brothers, and, which is the bit company that I'd be buying them from.
Yeah.
And they were able to figure out, it was like October of something 17 years ago.
I
So,
would have thought around 10, but, okay.
I mean, is there,
I'm
there's
fine.
a lifespan on a firearm?
For law enforcement, they typically like to replace them every 5 to 8 years because of the wear tolerances, the amount of ammunition that we throw through them every year for qualifying and practice. We got to qualify, and we got to do it basically twice a year. So you're looking at a lot of rounds for each of the firearms. A lot of times, especially with the firearms we have now, they're discontinued. So trying to find parts to, like springs for the magazines to make sure that the bullets actually go up into the gun. That was a big failure of the old 1.0. I honestly don't know if they've ever been fixed. Some of them have, but some of them have not. And also we have a 45 caliber gun now, and I'd like to switch that to a 9mm. It's cost effective over the long haul, and the 9mm has drastically changed in accuracy and the way that when it hits it's an object, it's changed awesomely. If that's a word, it is tonight. So that's the main reasons why. Also, the 45 kicks back a lot more. So if you have to do repeated rounds, God forsake we ever have to use it, the 9mm doesn't have that recoil. So you're more accurate at putting rounds down range. And I did not get the top of the line gun. I got the bottom of the line gun because I'm not ready for the optics. That's the big thing that makes them a higher cost, is the optics on them. You can get them optic ready, you can get the optic sight on them, which are phenomenal, but talking with a firearms instructor, there's no course for the optics yet through the MPTC. So I'd like to keep everything, yeah, you know, kosher with MPTC. And iron sights have been around forever, so.
So if you buy new firearms, what do we do with the old firearms? Just keep them?
I'm hoping to
reserve?
trade them in.
Mm.
Unfortunately, they are paperweights, they are office supplies. I don't know, there was talk at one point of $150 per gun. They may be a little lower than that now because it's just, they're getting inundated with firearms.
I don't think you're gonna get
I, for
anything
one,
for
am
this.
happy you were updating the inventory. What's our question? It says eight weapons?
Yes. So I'd like to have a couple just in case something goes wrong with one, or heaven forbid, somebody gets involved in a live shooting, then we have to take that gun and we lose that gun for a while.
And so, do we have good storage for them?
We definitely will come the new police station.
Okay,
Right now, not so much. They are kept very safe,
yeah,
they're just not where I'd like to have them.
very
So,
good.
and actually, the firearms that I'm looking at buying have not actually gone up a ton since in the last 17 years. It's relatively about the same amount.
No.
And the other one in there is a purchase of a new shotgun to go with, so we both shotguns are the same.
No, there's the last part.
And
Okay.
is this, wait, so is this a line-to-line transfer?
What did he
This
say?
is the
Yeah,
line-to-line, right?
that's right.
Okay, all right.
I don't know.
Yeah,
What's
these
the
new
question?
What are you using the shotgun for?
Shooting things?
I thought it was a two-hole punch.
No, so we carry the shotgun and we carry the rifle. We carry both. Depending on which kind of circumstance, like if you have to put down an animal, like a large animal, which we have a lot of in this town, the shotgun's much easier to do that with than pulling out the rifle. So,
And a 9mm won't do it. 9mm
and
won't
the
do it.
9mm just aggravate a bear, say. So,
Just from your own safety point of view, I'm glad we're up there. That's a disaster if you have
yeah, well, nothing is more the pucker factor when you pull the trigger and it doesn't go bang. That's not fun.
it. Goes, it's a horrible thing. You have a hand grenade in your.
So by doing, and the other reason why I want to keep with, so right now we have a Smith & Wesson M&P 1.0, even though they didn't call it the 1.0 back then. This is the M&P 2.0 and the 9mm platform. So I've talked with our neighboring chief, who's kind of big into firearms, and because I was thinking like I want to get away from Smith & Wesson, go with a different manufacturer because I think there's better guns out there. And his suggestion was if you go to a different frame, you have to put probably a minimum of 1,000 rounds downrange to get that muscle memory of drawing, pointing, firing. Because if you can imagine, you got your barrel and then your hand part, it's different on each different firearm. It's a little bit of a different angle. The M&P 1.0 is the same as the 2.0. It's the same frame. So you don't have to put as many rounds downrange, so it's kind of cost effective. So I'm like, all right, everybody knows how to shoot this one, so
Right. Okay,
why reinvent the wheel?
yeah.
And they're cheaper, which is always good.
I have an M&P M22. I like it. It's a good gun.
And M22?
It's a little rifle 22.
I know. It doesn't jam on you?
No, not like an M16. That thing jammed up.
Okay, any further questions?
No further questions.
So we'll have two separate votes on each, one for each line request. So I make a motion to request end of year line transfer from the 111 payroll account to the 440 office supply account in the amount requested of $1,558.81.
Second?
Oh, hold on.
What account were you putting that in?
440?
Okay, you said the office
Oh,
supply.
440 is what then?
Software.
Software, I'm sorry,
Okay.
software.
Now
I'm
it's
sorry,
just
that
an
440
interface.
software. Thank you. Thank you. 440 software, in the amount $1,558.81.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you. Carries 3-0. Second vote on a year-end line-to-line transfer. And make a motion to request the amount of $6,929 from payroll to the office supply account 420.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right. 3-0.
I will mirror both of their
Motions?
motions.
Right.
Yes.
Second.
Thank you. Sign these. They have to sign it, so.
Anybody got any other questions of the fire or police department while I'm here? Oh, if there's a way that we can change like that online when you look up the assessor's maps
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yes.
and it doesn't have the names,
Yes.
is there a way to change that? Because a lot of times when I do my investigations and we're getting into property lines and stuff, it's nice to be able to pop that up and know, like, all right, Don Bates owns this one here.
Yeah.
Phil Cantor owns this one here, here's the line.
I wondered about that too, because I have an app on my phone that I pay for. It's like a hunting app where,
Same.
right?
Well,
Yeah.
yeah.
So I was like, sweet, I can save like, however much.
The GIS map, Massachusetts map, shows that detail. How
So
accurate
why-
it is, I don't know.
The Board of Assessors had stipulated this a while back, but I think it's time for us to
Yeah.
request of them that they change it and just make it so that everybody can
Right,
access.
because it is publicly available.
It's publicly
It's
available
public.
all over
It's
the place.
available in different places that.
And there's not like you are giving them like dates of birth, social security, number. It
Right.
has
No,
your
it's
name
literally,
and
it's the
address.
same stuff that I have on my hunting app. That's like,
Yeah.
You know,
So-
you were that big a hunter.
no, but it's just useful. It's actually, you know what? It's for metal detecting, honestly. So that my husband can know who to approach to ask if he can metal detect on their property.
No, and that's
But
a
it's
lot of
useful,
what
yeah.
it's used for.
Yeah.
Because I know when I was working down in Whately, I used it all the time. I came up here and started using it because I could finally found it. And,
Right.
It was very difficult to find in Conway.
Yeah.
But I was looking at it going, this doesn't help me at all. Because I gotta call the assessors and there's nobody ever in the assessor's office.
Right. So,
I'd rather send smoke signals in order to get an assessor.
Is that up to the assessors or is that something that we can?
They're in charge of the GIS
The
maps,
GIS.
but I would be thrilled if the select board made the request of the
So,
Board of
yeah.
Assessors.
I have to like make a recommendation, yeah.
Verity Blanchard.
You have staff access that. Oh, no, that's
I
not
don't.
our
This is the
GIS.
Massachusetts
That's
Interactive.
Massachusetts, yeah.
Just
So
letting you know.
why can you go to the
temporarily.
Mass and not the Conway?
Another
Exactly,
Conway,
that's
makes
what, yeah.
That's
So-
just,
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
if they're trying to be secret squirrely and it saves stuff,
Yeah.
I can understand, but
It's just, it's,
it's all
yeah.
Doesn't
public
make any
information.
sense.
I move that we recommend to the Board of Assessors, or to the Board of Assessors, that they make property owner names available on our local GIS maps.
I'll second. Can we vote on something that's not on the agenda?
Oh,
You can recommend.
Yeah, I mean.
Let's recommend
Okay.
that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you could recommend it, yeah.
Thank you, I told you to forget.
Well, it is in her.
It's in my
Oh,
TA.
their TA
That's why I
updates.
didn't forget, because I put it in my TA update, that you and I agreed on that.
So,
Okay.
great.
Other than that, police department, I don't have a whole lot to pass along. Things have been pretty good.
Great. Gotta get that building done. What's going on with the siding? Let's get that siding up. Let's go.
Well,
How about the
need to get the roof first.
Yeah,
Need to get the roof, because once the roof goes on, then they can start putting up sheetrock.
Got it.
Siding is fine, we can do siding at the end.
How's the inside? I haven't looked inside yet.
It's full of 2x4s. And wire.
And wire.
Oh, so the electrical's ran.
Oh, yeah.
Plumbing's
Electrical,
ran.
plumbing's done.
Electrical truck's been there for weeks.
They just need to do insulation and drywall.
Roof.
Yeah, they gotta get the roof,
Roof.
which the roof arrived last week, so that's,
Is it
just waiting
now?
for good weather, yeah.
Oh, so that's what they were
Nice.
waiting on?
Yeah, I'm just waiting, yeah, because
Mhm.
there were some issues with it initially.
Yeah.
So, but that's been ordered, delivered, and just waiting for good weather to put it on, and then they'll start hammering out sheetrock.
Great.
awesome.
Well, thank you, the Don.
All right,
Appreciate it.
thank you, appreciate it. As always, if you ever have any questions, feel free to let me know.
I'll be up tomorrow.
I don't answer your questions.
Since we're on line transfers, let's just stick with that. Discussion and vote reserve fund transfer request from the ambulance department, submitted by Gemma. Amount requested $1,843.65 to be transferred to the ambulance 430 maintenance and repairs. Appropriations only $217.02. This will be used to pay for repairs done by Brent Towing and Automotive Repair on the ambulance.
No, it's not 217, it's 1,800.
Yeah, I see
It's the
that.
amount, yeah, that's left in
The
the.
balance due is 1843.65.
Yeah, it's the,
Well,
it
the
asks for how
balance-
much is left in the account right now.
Yeah,
so
there's
we
only
can-
217 left in the account. Do you gentlemen have any questions on this?
No, I just have a question. So the ambulance actually broke down while I was doing an emergency transport? Is that,
That's what it says, it broke down on a call.
oh boy.
It's a wheel bearing,
Yep,
basically.
caliper, wheel bearing, and then rotors and brakes.
And so everything
That was
else.
back on, in March,
Might as well do
late
it.
February, you know what the call was? Do you have any idea?
I don't have the, I mean, this date for this invoice is March 3rd, so it was probably February.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I guess we need a new ambulance.
Well, yeah.
We're saying
Yeah, we're saving for one.
Do you think we'll have an idea of what the price could be by town meeting?
No, I don't, but I know that Gemma says they're close, and it looks highly, highly likely we'll have a special town meeting in the fall
Yeah.
to deal with the purchase of the ambulance.
All right.
So, and then she's hoping that the price will come in between 450,000, which means we're almost there, because we'll,
Yeah.
after annual town meeting, we'll have 410,000, so
Yeah.
we should be in pretty good shape.
I want to be in very good shape. 40 grand is still different, right?
Yep.
Okay, so for the reserve fund transfer, the only person that needs to sign is the chair of the finance committee.
Oh my goodness, I got a personal vote. I have to vote
And the
first. You have to
bill is
vote.
on
Yeah.
the second page.
Thank you. Have you any questions or any further comments, thoughts on?
No questions.
All right, I make a motion to request $1,843.65 to the ambulance maintenance repairs budget 430
From the reserve fund.
from the reserve.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
All right,
Motion.
carries.
Second.
Thank you. All right, moving on to the discussion and vote on the reserve fund transfer request from the treasurer, Jan Warner. Amount requested $14,000 to be transferred to 900 employee benefits. The current balance of that reserve fund is $38,564.82. Amount requested would be used for health insurance and Medicare. This is due to the increase in eligible employees and pay increases. Again, since this is a reserve, transfer from a reserve fund, obviously all of us need to vote, but the only signature is yours.
And how does the reserve fund get repopulated? Is that?
How much is
So
in the
we put
reserve
in
fund?
40,000 every year, so
Oh,
that's.
14,000,
Let's-
that's what
Okay,
I
all
said.
right.
So,
And
yeah.
I should mention, I
What is this?
think I sent out an email on it.
Present
Yeah,
benefit,
the
yeah.
request is 14,000.
Right now,
Yep, transfer.
We've used 19,000 out of the reserve fund so far in FY ’25.
This is a big
There's
one.
21,000 left.
Yeah.
After these, there'll be just over 5,000
Okay.
left in the
All right.
reserve fund.
Yeah.
No questions.
Any questions? No. I make a motion to transfer from the reserve fund $14,000 for the health insurance Medicare. In a second?
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 All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right, thank you. Carries 3-0.
Oh, any other motion?
Second.
Thank you. Okay, last one is another line-to-line transfer. Request from the highway, salary to highway expenses for milling, reclamation, and paving on Shelburne Falls Road and Baptist Hill to Emerson Hollow.
Line to line.
So it's just, yeah, line
It's
one.
from payroll to
Yeah.
what, materials?
He had so
or-
few, yeah, right. I don't know the exact number.
Having open, the exact number, it's 90,000, line to line, like I said. Due to having open positions for the year, payroll has a surplus. With the increase in pay for staff, we do not anticipate having surpluses in the future.
So I had questions about this, because we haven't had any discussions about paving Shelburne Falls Road. It wasn't budgeted for the year. And was it? I mean, we wouldn't be doing a line-to-line transfer if it had been budgeted for the fiscal year.
Well, I'm not sure what you mean by budgeted, because normally the roads get done through chapter 90.
Okay.
And I think Ron had said, he mentioned during his budget talk that he had brought up that he was going to be asking for this again.
Well,
Well,
he
we're
didn't put out, he said that, he hinted at it, but didn't say a dollar amount.
Yeah, no, I'm sure at the time he didn't know. What we're hoping to do, well, the plan is to get this paving done up to Emerson Hollow. And then in the Mass Works grant that we still have to finalize, the paving will go from Emerson Hollow to Newell. So then all of Shelburne Falls Road will be finished. But like I said, normally these kinds of things are through chapter 90. But because there's so much going on in what he has to accomplish this year, and he had the excess. Yeah.
And if any of you have traveled on Shelburne Falls Road, you know that the culvert damage repair made a mess of it. So
Yeah.
there's been a lot of complaints actually about
Mhm.
that section.
Yeah.
So is he actually gonna pave Emerson Hollow?
No, it's just
Okay.
from, it's just this bit, it's just this
From-
little bit. Basically, it's
yeah.
covering the culverts to the center of town.
Okay.
But that wasn't your question. You said he's going to then pave Emerson Hollow.
No,
No.
from that, sorry,
That's not a
from,
plan. That's still
No.
going to be a
oh,
gravel.
yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm sorry, if I did, then I misspoke. It's from, right now, it's from,
Where?
right where it
Emerson Hollow
starts at
meets-
Baptist Hill to Emerson Hollow.
Mhm.
And then with the Mass Works grant, it should be from Emerson Hollow to Newhall, but all on Shelburne Falls Road.
Mhm.
So that will complete, because he's already completed most of Shelburne Falls Road from Newhall all the way
Mhm.
down to Shelburne. or
How's the
Boston.
road you turn to get to the gun club?
Yeah.
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 Yeah, so,
So, do we have any kind of a paving plan? Because in the future, it'd be good to know.
yes, well, I can read off the list on my TA update here somewhere of the roads. that are
And what is
planned.
and also not the plan, but also the payment plan, right? Is it, if it's going to be chapter 90 money, this is what's swirling around in my brain. We're not using chapter 90 money, we're using town money. We're using essentially what would go to free cash at the end of the year if we didn't spend this money. Because it's unused sal payroll funds.
Correct,
Okay.
correct. However, chapter 90 money isn't gonna get us very far with the amount of paving that needs to be done.
Okay, so then that raises further questions, like what do we do in future years? Or how are we accounting for that? Right now, I don't think we've budgeted for paving in any of the recent years that I've been on this committee, even though we've paid for paving in the aftermath of the flooding for certain sections of roads. But we seem to be pulling it out of various pots that aren't chapter 90 money.
So the only two pots of money that come into the town, we do not, as you said, we do not actually have a paving budget. Ron might be able to do some little repairs out of his regular budget, but to actually do a road, I think it's like $1 million a mile now. So it's a lot of money, and we just don't have, so I think he's trying to pull from as many sources as he can. Normally what will happen is he'll have a roster of roads that he wants to work on. And he'll just take as much of the chapter 90 funds as he can and get as much work done as he can. There's a second pot of money that's come through in the last couple of years called RAP. It's about winter roads, and they gave us some extra funds, which has increased it a little bit, but if you're still not even getting $500,000, you're not getting much road done.
So is this 90,000 on top of some other funds that he has for paving? Or is this the totality of the paving funds that he needs for this project?
This, between this and the Mass Works grant, should take care of the rest of Shelburne Falls Road. He's got another 7, 8, 9 roads that he's trying to get done this season. So where he's taking that all from, I'm not sure. Delabar is probably still going to come out of the federal pre-hazard mitigation grant. And hopefully we'll be able to take for the Pine Hill, Upper Baptist, and Baptist Hill out of Mass Works grant. because all that infrastructure is coming out of the MassWorks grant. I'm not sure from Ron yet, we have to finalize that to see whether the paving itself is coming out of that, or if that's coming out of Chapter 90.
Yeah, okay, so, I mean, my concern here is town meeting passed the budget based on a payroll number for Ron's department. Now we're saying we're shifting all $90,000 over to paving. In essence, we're taking free cash, and it feels like it should be a vote in town meeting that says, this is reverting to free cash, let's move it over to this line item for paving. I feel like that's a lot of money for us to just sort of automatically sign off on.
Well, it is within the purview of the finance committee, so, because these things do come up.
Yeah, well,
And by the time you get to town meeting, it's too late, really. I mean, I don't know how you would do that at town meeting, because you're taking it out of last year's budget.
3 years ago it was 45,000, last year was 80,000, now it's 90,000.
It
We're
is.
asking for an increase in wages and salaries, which would lead me to say,
Well,
if we're 90,000 under, we're asking for 47,000.
But he did
more.
specifically say because he's been so understaffed.
he said with the increase in pay for
Right,
staff,
right.
he doesn't
He made that
anticipate
clear.
having
Yeah,
surplus.
it's not gonna happen again because, as long as he's fully
Well, then,
staffed.
yeah, but again, this is one of those workarounds, right? Oh, we happen to have this extra payroll money that we didn't use, but nobody in town voted for this money to be used for roads.
But they don't, it's,
They approved the,
but it's line to line. I don't know
no,
if
they
it's
approved the
required.
total budget, but it was a total budget comprised of a bunch of
this
different
is-
line items.
Yeah.
Article 2, of the warrant, and I'm just saying, it feels
Well, we can
strange to me.
vote on this, but, so what is account 5400?
5,400?
Yeah.
Okay, so it should be a 433-5400, and then whatever his, I don't have that one in front of me.
Well, it's, in other words,
Oh, he didn't put this specific one. What he's saying here is it's going from salary to
Yeah.
expenses, which is what the line-to-line is. So he didn't put the
So
specific,
there's gonna be expenses here for what? For some labor expenses, right?
no, this is gonna be from materials, I'm
For
sure, because it's
material.
only in
Gravel,
expenses, yeah.
Everything to prepare. this
And maybe
includes-
contracting,
Includes contracting
Yeah.
and paving.
yeah. Yeah.
Well, the first time we did it was 40,000, and I don't think that was from the actual snow and ice that was left over, gravel and sand, that he moved over. I don't know if it went, then the following year it went from payroll, didn't it?
No, you can't move the snow and, you can't
No?
do budget to budget, as far as I know, but you can definitely do the line to line within a budget, because town meeting has approved the total.
Mhm.
Highway budget.
And you have the discretion, starting May 1st, to say, we need to transfer money here or there to complete these jobs. And if
Right.
you have more payroll, then you can move it to expenses.
Right.
And that's the purview of finance and select board to make that decision.
I mean, we've had salary surpluses in the highway budget just because we have been understaffed.
Right, that's not the issue. The issue isn't whether Shelburne Falls Road needs to be repaved.
Yeah.
That's not an issue either. It's just the process for allocating the funds.
Yeah, but if you,
I'm not saying
Like you
we
say.
don't have the right to even do the line-by-line transfer. It just feels
it's the
like,
highway department, it's big bucks.
Yeah, but it's basically free cash they were having.
yeah, it's basically,
Yeah.
we're saying we're spending free cash on paving Shelburne Falls Road.
It's not, it's free cash because we didn't have a full staff.
Right.
Now, wait,
Right.
if we had the full staff,
Right, if we had the full staff and we didn't have this money, how would we?
Then we
pay
wouldn't even be
Shepherd
having this
Falls Road?
conversation
let me
because
ask
we would
this
have
question.
$90,000.
There's a surplus in a budget in any department at the end of the fiscal year. Where does that surplus go?
free
Free
cash.
cash.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Well,
So anyway, I'm not sure how I'm going to vote on this right now.
does it,
yeah.
I
does
mean,
the
I know we
road,
need to pave the road, but I'm not happy with the way.
does the
this-
road need paving?
Well, that's for
Oh,
sure.
yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, it does need, the
Okay.
culverts,
Absolutely.
yeah.
Absolutely.
Okay,
Yeah, yeah.
so I'm not gonna take it any,
It's just we went from 45 to 80 an hour at 90. And, you know, it's not really best practice to be doing what we're doing. It's almost like an incentive to under-hire people and under-maintain, then they can do road paving.
Right, that's
That's the part, the capital budget, the budgeting aspect is where I have problems with this.
Well, what this means is, if you want to take it this way, it means it isn't going to happen until who knows when, and can it be encumbered? I don't even know, what do you have to make an article?
Well, it's a separate article
It's too
in
late
the,
to do an article, right?
yeah,
at this
my
point? So
article.
It would have to go back to free cash, and then we'd have to put it on special town meeting.
Special town
probably.
meeting.
Special town
Okay.
meeting,
That's
which would be,
whatever it is.
which would be in December.
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 yeah, so, I mean, what's the point?
No, I get it.
Yeah.
I get it. That's part of the annoyance, is that we sort of have been backed into a corner in a way, too.
Well,
You know?
Yeah, I totally see that. I mean, I just don't know that there's any, I mean,
it's
it's kind of unfortunate that we have the surplus.
well, no, it's,
Well,
look,
but it means that we paid higher taxes than we should have paid if we have a surplus. That's what that
Well, it
means.
means that we weren't able to hire the people that we
Yeah.
thought.
Well,
that we
yeah,
were.
the reasons are manifold, I
Yeah.
get that. But at the end of the day, it should revert to free cash, and then we can make a decision as to whether it's going to impact our tax rates for the coming year. But, we're basically saying, no, we're saying it's all fine, and we're going to throw this extra free $90,000.
Just a reminder, this is from the budget from last year, though.
I understand
Yeah, that's
that,
where it
I
goes, free
understand.
cash, yeah.
So,
But budget was presented as a line item budget article. Anybody at town meeting can question any line in the budget and have it considered in town meeting. So,
I think, I totally understand what you're saying, but I think, given how much it costs to pave a road and how many roads need to be taken care of, that's my understanding, is that our highway super is just trying to do his best to find as much money as he can. Otherwise, I'm sure this would have to come out of chapter 90, and then that takes away from another road.
we need a better
So-
process. We need a more transparent process,
Yeah.
okay? We can't get to the 11th hour at the budget and then do,
Well, these can only start at May 1st. You can't even
Mhm.
entertain these until May 1st.
right,
But we should have known what kind of surpluses we had and whether there might be a request to use those surpluses.
How could you know until you get?
Because you know what your hiring has been for the whole year. You know what your
Yeah.
payroll, you know if you're running behind on payroll.
But we've had people come and go, so you don't know.
Yeah, but you already know that you're not going to, even if you hired somebody today, you're not going to use up all the surpluses that you accrued over the course of the year. So you already know you were going to be in the positive category from a payroll
Well, and that's, I
standpoint.
think, why he brought it up during his budget and said that he was gonna ask for this because.
We did not have specifics.
Yeah.
We did not have any specifics. It was an idea. It
And would
was a
you-
concept that was floated. It wasn't, nothing is real until we see numbers.
and would you have called for a special town meeting now, or a month ago?
No, I'm just saying the appropriate thing here is to revert it to free cash and then put it as a warrant article. I mean, that's the way it should be done, because it should be part of the highway department budget.
I agree.
I still,
But it's, I mean,
I disagree.
if we make that decision, it's too late to get it on the warrant.
Yeah, it is too
Yeah, it
late,
is,
yes,
yeah.
that's why we're,
Yeah, I know.
that's why we're annoyed.
Right, yeah, no, I know, yeah,
But
I see
that's,
that.
see,
Sometimes-
that's with the May 1st timing, it's gonna be too late to get it on the warrant by the time you can actually make
And
the
you're
decision.
missing
Some-
my point.
Well,
Sometimes,
I understand what you're saying, but I think things change so much that it's really difficult to get the numbers that you're looking for in enough time. I'm not saying one way or the other, I'm just trying to
Okay.
present whatever arguments I can.
I know.
I mean, I guess, what would the solution be? Like, just have a threshold, like, that we don't
I
want
think
to
it would be good to
approve
get.
line-to-line transfers
This budget
above a certain
process,
amount?
during this budget process this year, we didn't get a lot of updates for actual year-to-date versus budgeted. It was pretty lax.
well, you got Mike Casella.
Yeah, Mike Cachella's report, it'd be nice if we'd been
But it
updated, like at
doesn't-
least when we went to vote on Article 2 through at least the end of March.
There's no
He said
commentary
enough.
with it.
Yeah, but I don't have it on here. We used to
Oh,
have
On the
budget versus
omnibus,
actual.
I think he's
The
referring to the
omnibus.
omnibus, which
Okay.
doesn't reflect year-to-date
Yeah,
spending.
Which for me would have been helpful, because I could have seen though, okay, we have an underage or an overage or at budget, whatever.
But even that won't necessarily give you what you need to know, because sometimes things come up and some departments, the money gets spent in the last 2 months. So it's still never gonna give
I
you,
get that.
But we're not payroll for the highway department, it should, now it should be fairly steady year-round, right? With a stable crew in terms of headcount.
well, but we haven't had a stable crew since I've been here, so.
But I mean, that's changed supposedly, right, within the last couple of
Not
months,
yet, we're
right?
still down 2 people.
At the end of the day, we had not budgeted
Okay.
anything for paving of Shelburne
Okay, can-
Falls Road.
Can I interrupt here?
Sure.
I understand that there's a desire for a better process, okay? I also think that sometimes practicalities might even, in a setting like this, might even, my biggest concern is any of these contracts going to Ron's cousin, brother, whatever, for this paving. I assume you guys have that under control, that you would know that that wouldn't be the case. I mean, my concern is, if you're gonna spend the money, are you getting value? Are you getting, and is it not going to, you know, a nepotistic
Yeah, in other words,
situation?
proper bidding has
But
been.
Yeah.
from a practical point of view, you have a busted-up Shelburne Falls Road, close to the village here. It doesn't get better on its own, it just gets worse if you don't take care of it. And that's, you know, sure, I'd like to see a better process, and I think that could be discussed. But from a practical point of view, you have the money here, as Veronique said, Chapter 90 money comes in there. It's going to be available for the other roads, which, trust me, need to work. So we can vote, but I
Yeah,
think you know
yeah, and-
how I'm feeling about it.
I'm going to say for the last 3 budget cycles, we've talked about the way the highway department is budgeted for full staff, and year after year after year, they come up with extra payroll because they weren't able to staff. And one of the things we've been trying to avoid is that practice that says, oh, let's create an incentive where we don't have to hire somebody, we end up with a surplus at the end of the year, and then we can apply it to paving the roads.
Okay.
That's
So-
what we've been trying to avoid.
Yeah.
And here, and that number has gone up and up and up.
Okay, I get it, and I understand the need for, I also understand from the point of view of the highway department that it's a lot easier to over budget, if you will, to a certain amount than to come asking for more money. And that's just the reality of the
Right,
budget.
but I don't think anything was over budgeted at all.
Well, I'm putting that word in quotes.
Right, I think it was appropriately budgeted, and the problem is,
staffed
for a fully staffed department.
agree with that.
And that's, yeah, no, I understand, and I completely understand what you're saying.
I guess the part, again, I don't want to be the horse of death here, but where was the plan to pave Shelburne Falls Road when we were doing the 2025 budget?
What I
No,
gathered from.
2025, because we're pulling it out of 2025 budget
Right.
funds, right?
All right. I'd like to see a pavement plan, just going forward.
This
What we have
is
in
in the
mind.
interest of clarity and transparency.
Well, that could be, I mean, I'm happy to try to work on that with Ron. I know, there's my TA update. So the roads that he's had up on the website and has told me about that are on his list to get done this season, if possible. Obviously Shelburne Falls Road to finish it, that's number one. Baptist Hill, Cemetery, Delabar, Ives, Manning, Orchard, Parsons, Reed Bridge, and Upper Baptist.
It would be helpful for the finance committee if we could have the source of funding for those projects.
The only sources we have are Chapter 90, there's nothing else.
So then what would
That's
the,
why he's trying to
so
do something.
then try to get estimates and what we think we might get from Chapter 90, so we have some idea.
Well, the formula just changed.
Yeah, we're probably going to get just over, I want to say, $500,000 this year,
Mhm.
between Chapter 90 and the
And the
supplemental
federal.
rep.
Mhm.
But, that's not set yet.
Yeah.
Right.
Oh, no, wait a minute.
No, it's not safe, because
No, they haven't set
the
that
budget
yet
for
for
hasn't
next
been
year,
settled
yeah.
yet at the state level.
So the honest answer is, we really don't know until we get it.
Yeah.
So,
Is there anything regarding tie roads in the state, tie roads? Tie, like it ties two villages together.
Oh, like a lot of those are federally assisted because they're major.
I don't know, so is that just wrapped into the
Like
chapter
Shelby Falls
90?
Road,
Is that where those?
Anything that's in Conway that isn't a state road, we have to pave.
No, but like Whately Road didn't it get tie special funding because it's a tie road? It's considered,
Well, so what happened is with the flood,
no, this had nothing to do with the flood even, because it was paved before the
well, then
flood.
that I don't know. Yeah, I remember that it was paved a number of years before.
Yeah.
I don't think I was living here, but
Yeah.
I'm assuming that was chapter 90. There's nothing else that, unless, you have a paving note, unless you're borrowing money. That's
Right.
the other
Yeah.
thing. We do have paving notes.
We did do that a
Road
couple of
just
years
got
ago.
repaved on the Whately side only like a year. and a
No,
half.
I thought they got additional funding from the Commonwealth if it's this tie road, village to village kind of.
Maybe that's part
road.
of part of chapter 90 or something.
I don't think it's in the formula,
That was
no.
mostly over.
We were helped after the flood because with 5 of our federally assisted by Mass
Right.
DOT, but I've never heard anything in the chapter 90 formula that says anything about, getting more money because you've got tie-in roads. Maybe, and I'm just missing it, but I
You
haven't
know,
heard that.
This Andrea Lamas, and she knew about this. She's still up in Buckland?
She's in Northfield.
Oh, Northfield, okay.
So I agree with Alan and John that the process needs to be ironed out in a better fashion and that we should be aware of if a department has a surplus, what they intend to do with that surplus. If it doesn't go back into free cash, I will say that I think that the need, especially when it comes to safety for our drivers, trumps process in this point. So I'll make a motion to approve the line transfer request from the Highway Department to reclaim Shelburne Falls Road.
Second.
Thank you.
No further questions.
Do you want us to make a motion too? Is that- yeah? All
I
right.
would like you to make
I
that.
make a motion to do a line transfer of $90,000 from the highway wages to the paving line, whatever that is. I don't have the exact numbers in front of me.
5,400.
5,400 as requested.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right, 3-0.
We can all have Ron come in at some point in time and just discuss some of the issues we have had with.
Yeah. Maybe, can he do something for the pre-town
Oh,
meeting?
I'm sorry, we have to sign that too.
Yeah, I was just
Oh, yeah.
Thank you.
Send it
Can
there
we do
and
it for the pre-town?
These are all done,
Or is
right?
that too soon?
Thank you.
For
For
what to
Ron to
have,
come in and talk about roads in the pre-town meeting? Or?
Oh, I don't
I
think
don't
that's a
think,
good idea.
not at the pre-town meeting,
No.
no. Yeah.
No, it'll devolve into that. So people get to pick 3 subjects, right?
Yeah, all right.
So
Okay.
if Ron's there, it's all gonna be Ron.
Yeah.
All right.
Well, and he's already got a couple of items that
Right.
they're going to be contested.
But we can certainly have a conversation about what kind of process and procedures.
It will be helpful to know what the schedule is. I don't know if he has it on the
They
website.
do put the
but probably a lot of
schedule
people-
on the Facebook page.
Yeah. But I mean, a real schedule would be, what dates and.
Oh, he can't do dates.
No?
Yeah, because
That's the
it's
problem.
all
Yes.
weather dependent. and-
Not
It's
only
weather
but
dependent.
It's material and.
Well, there could be
But what we could do
estimated.
Yeah, it
is
could be.
estimated cost
timeframes.
and source of funding.
Yeah,
We-
estimated
yeah.
source of funding. We don't need to have an
We
exact
also
date,
have
can't we
issues with the
realize?
equipment, as you know, like the grader.
Yeah.
So-
A grader, we have a grader?
Okay.
All
Now
right,
we
so-
have Articles 2 and 15,
Yeah,
right?
discussion and revote on Articles 2 and 15 on town warrant. We don't need to bring those up.
Which was ordered.
Well, so the,
Well, there was a little-
The overall increase is 1.55% now,
Yes.
and what was it, 1.48 previously, or?
Honestly, I've been through it so many
Yeah.
times, I don't
Yeah.
remember.
I mean, it wasn't a huge increase. It was-
No,
yeah.
I think it went down a touch.
Yeah.
So the 4 changes that had to be made sort of last minute, one was, 2 were my mistakes. One was the town clerk had asked for an increase, so therefore didn't get a COLA, and I had the COLA baked into it. I had to take that
Okay.
out. I had not gone to fire, because everybody had voted that the stipends would now be by request only. I needed to get them to request it. So they both requested for both the departments a 3%. So I went back in and fixed that. Then Maya sent us an updated form, which was more money, so I had to adjust that. And then because the fire ambulance department budget changed, then Article 15, which is the balance of the ambulance department budget above 25,000, it's in Article 2, the number changed. So those are the shifts for the actual budget. And on
So what was the total net amount that it went up?
The increase for the 4 stipends,
honestly, I didn't keep track from the last version. I don't know if it even went
I think I got.
up. It's 1.55 now, which is percent above last year's budget, which is phenomenally low.
yeah.
And if you want a really good piece of news, in
Oh, yeah.
terms of our financial shape, I just went over this with Mike Coachella today.
Oh, you're in the same file. I'm like, you EG.
Oh, but this says 1.23%.
Yeah, this says 1.23 on your.
Mine is 1.18.
You don't have the latest.
I don't have the latest iteration.
I thought your last email said it was 1.55%.
It is 1.55.
Okay,
Are you
well-
in the select board packets?
Yes.
Yeah.
And I put the wrong thing in there too?
It says
Think so.
final 2025.
Are you on combined?
No, just where it
Article
says
2
Article 2.
combined.
No. Is that
No,
where we're
Article
going?
2 combined is what you need to look at.
Okay.
That's
Article
the
2
final.
combined has 1.55.
Yes, thank you.
And the
Okay, that was
yeah,
good. Okay.
previous increase was almost 3%. So it's half of the prior
Yeah.
fiscal.
Well, from last year, yeah. No, I thought you meant how much did it change between when I made the corrections and now.
I think that's what he did.
1.55.
Okay.
I think that's what Alan was asking.
Okay, so the good news for us is our maximum allowable levy limit right now was 7,230,863. Our excess levy capacity is now at $1,242,716, which is a very healthy
Yeah, we're.
excess levy
we can
capacity.
raise taxes a lot.
So, yeah, that kind of made my day.
Thank you. Yeah, and also our local receipts were 72,000 above budget from the end of.
Well, and Mike did talk about that today, because remember that spreadsheet came back to me from DLS, and they had said, you could bump up, it's been 234,000 is our estimated
Right,
local receipts for 4 years.
Yep.
And he bumped it up to 256, which was the recommendation, but of course, it could be a really tough year, and, so he's a little nervous, because, if it's very tough and people can't pay their excise tax, then.
You're going to have more beers at the Conway yet?
But it's still conservative enough that I think it's, because we were
Yeah.
so over with our.
Oh, I think it's
estimated
super
revenue.
conservative.
Yes.
Yeah.
And hasn't even adjusted for inflation.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, I don't think excise tax, does that even adjust for inflation? I think
I think it's-
the base rate is flat. It's been,
Yeah.
It's flat, it depends on
But
what
it's-
kind of car you're getting.
But
Yeah,
it's based
yeah.
on the economy and this and that, and excise tax has
No.
changed.
if your car's 5 years old, you're paying the minimum rate on
I'm
that.
paying the minimum.
Yeah,
amount.
most,
It's 2012.
many of us are.
Yeah.
Not Alan, though. He's
No,
got
not
it.
me. I'm trying to help this town.
Don't buy a camper or a boat.
We'll buy cryptocurrency next.
All the
Any
extras.
other questions on Article 2 or 15?
And then Article 15.
Right here.
Just for,
Okay.
because John's
Is
taking
that,
good
then
notes
you
here.
have to sign it.
Oh, that's right.
Article 15, yeah, what was,
Article 15 is the ambulance, from what's
Oh.
coming out of reserve receipts from the ambulance, to make it the balance.
Two, 1.55, 15,
It's 43,481 is what it is now.
43,481. 2/3 vote required still.
So I can make a motion, right, for us, for select
Yes, you
board?
can.
That, I move that we approve the change in Article 2 to a 1.55% increase over last year's budget.
Have a second? I'll make a motion to approve the transfer of $43,481 for the ambulance receipt fund in Article 15.
Second.
Yes, sorry.
I put it on the front just so you didn't have to.
Oh,
That's easy.
oh, it's only us, it's not the finance?
Right, yeah. The select board.
Is the warrant fully closed yet, or, you know,
Close it out.
I mean, for public petitions, and
They're signing it right now, it's done. It's completely done.
so there's no last minute petition?
No, those last minutes would have had to have happened 3 weeks ago.
Yeah.
When the warrant got closed.
Closed it up 2 weeks ago. Looked pretty good.
Yeah, and it's really looking very, very likely that we're gonna have a special town meeting for ambulance, and somebody else wanted to do a CPC thing, so I think we'll, you know, if there's anything that kind of fell between the cracks, we'll probably have a special town meeting anyway. Thank you
So
for
is the
that.
finance committee meeting to make a select, since the select board is going to make a recommendation, or we off the hook, he wants to do it.
No, please.
We have to
I
revote.
make a.
Yeah, you have to revote, yeah.
So this is to rescind the Article 2 recommendation from April 28th and make a recommendation to vote the newly presented Article 2 as approved by the Select Board. Anyone second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye, 3-0 in favor. And Article 15 to to amend Article 15, a vote for approval from April 22nd to the new amount that the Select Board has recommended. What's the number again, Chris? 43? 43.
43,481.
$43,481 as requested.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. All right, thank you.
And are we adjourned?
I think we're dismissed. We've made enough trouble tonight.
All right, thank you, finance committee.
You're welcome. Thank you, John. for taking this. I make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Thank you.
Very good.
Well, I hope we don't have to see each other next week, but you never know.
Well, if I don't continue with this, I do want to get on your board at some point.
Oh, really?
I would love to learn.
We have an open rec because, you know, by our bylaws, if you miss 6 meetings in a row, when
Oh, yeah.
you're indicated,
Oh, yeah, so there is a vacancy.
you're out.
Yeah.
So we do have, I would like to,
Yeah,
I would
yeah.
like to mention at the pre-town meeting and at town meeting that we do have an open position on the finance committee.
Yeah, you should. We should talk about all the open positions.
Yeah. It's really important.
It is.
People want to get a reduction in the property tax, this is a great way to do it, but certainly
We're trying, Alan. We're trying.
All right, we're going, Eric, we're going back up to new business, discussion and vote on the contract with FERCog for the cooperative inspection program.
Nothing's really changed since last,
That I'm seeing.
right? We're still contracting for all the same services? Yeah, okay. I move that we vote to accept the updated contract with FERCog for the Franklin County Cooperative Inspection Program.
I will second. Now, underneath there's,
It's
there's
just
two?
It's
Okay.
just two to sign, yeah.
Got it. Understood.
And just so you're aware,
Thank you.
just so you're aware, there will be handouts at town meeting on the FERCog charter and also the planning board.
Oh, they do.
Need to copy forward the assessors email to you. In the meantime, we'll just let them to you later.
Oh, I think we're gonna have a new person this week, so I should be able to
Okay.
switch it up,
Just
yeah.
leave- I'll leave it.
Thank you, yeah, thank you.
Good night.
See you, Roy.
See you.
Discussion and vote to appoint Brian Allen to the Open Space Committee for a term ending in June 30th of this year.
Yeah, I was curious about that. Just
Because when I looked at the other two, the other members, they were all up at 26 and 27. Technically, we can't appoint him to 28 yet
28, yeah,
until, so I said to Janet, do you want us to just appoint him through the end and then we'll reappoint him
Yeah.
in June for
Yeah.
the 28th term? So.
I move that we appoint Ryan Allen to the Open Space Committee for a term ending 6/30/2025. He's eminently qualified.
Yes,
and-
overly qualified.
And so happy that he's willing to serve.
Same here. I'll second. Sign this. I'm sure people look at my signature and they're like, what?
So the last
All right.
one, there isn't a letter for you to sign. This is just kind of to get your feedback and then I can have it for the next meeting.
This is about the bridge.
Yes.
So it's a letter of support to Shelburne for the repair of the Bardwell's Ferry Bridge.
Is that in Selectboard packet?
It's not the Bardwell's Ferry, it's one that's on that road, but it's further up.
Oh,
Yeah,
I read that wrong.
yeah. So, and I've asked her for a template because you know,
It's
just-
on Bardwell's, further up.
It's in Shelburne, but it's not actually
Just the
Oh,
Dragon Brook
on
one.
Route
the Dragon Brook one.
Right off Route 2.
It's right off.
Right.
Behind. But
Yeah.
when you go past their little library.
Yeah,
it's-
Gotcha. Okay. Yeah, of course.
Okay, so for next week, next meeting.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay, great, thank
Got it. So
you.
we'll table the vote till next meeting.
Yeah.
Thank you. Going on, items anticipating none, TA updates.
Okay, so we talked about assessors. We should have the personnel handbook update to you pretty quickly. Phyllis and I discussed this, and we'd like to have it ready to roll out for July 1st. So that would mean that we'd have to have it to you all in time for, so I think we're going to try to get it to you immediately before town meeting. Like
Mhm.
what, I think it's a June 2nd meeting. And you saw, we've talked about highway, town clerk says the vote by mail ballots will be going out soon. And then these were two of the things I was really excited about. One was this Valley Neighbors, which I had never heard of before.
Mhm.
And their whole purpose is to help people over 60.
Well, look at you. You linked their address.
I did. To stay in their homes. And they serve Whately, Sunderland, and Deerfield. So I've actually already sent in a query to see if there's any way Conway can become part of the picture.
That'd be great.
So that's one. The second one was, here, I'll actually.
They have a transportation.
Yeah, yeah,
Well, and-
right.
And that's the thing, is that they do a lot of this stuff.
Yeah.
The second one, I'll show you with my phone,
Oh man, that's great.
that he just told me about, is called Seeing AI.
Mm-hmm.
Conway's pre-town meeting, dessert potluck and discussion, Monday, May 19th, 8:30 p.m.
So it's reading what it sees in
Oh,
front of
wow.
it.
Yeah, you know that your phone already does that, right?
Without that ad?
Yeah, there's all kinds of things under your phone.
Your iPad does it.
Does it really?
Yeah, that's for like hearing and visually disabled
Yeah, this is
people.
for visually, so
Yeah.
why would they have to make a whole separate app if your phone does it anyway?
I don't know.
They probably, I don't know, because they're probably trying to sell you something.
Your iPad will translate to it if you hold it up. to something
Really?
German and
Well,
Yeah.
so there
read
you
it
go.
to you.
So
Yeah.
I'm not quite as excited anymore. Yeah, so learn something. Ah,
Yeah, it's
And-
under accessibility. If you go under accessibility in your settings,
they'll have
you'll
the same
see.
thing?
Yeah, you'll see what's for like visual. Like that's the same one where instead of ringing, your phone will flash a light.
Uh-huh.
Deaf, people that are
Yep,
deaf.
yep.
There's all kinds of other things on there for that, and that's one of them is that it will text to read.
So if I'm somebody over 60 and I had no idea, I think maybe I at least ought to talk to folks at
Well-
Mass in Motion and stuff, Council on Aging
Yeah,
about
when
it.
they do those iPad workshops for seniors.
That was
Yeah,
one of
they
the
should
things
do
we
stuff
did.
like
that.
Was
Yeah.
it? Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you're reading labels,
hmm
you know,
Vera
it
needs to
works.
take one of those workshops.
yeah.
I do. Okay.
I totally agree with you and Chief Bates though on the GIS map. So whatever you need our support to
Yeah.
get that going, just let us know.
Okay. Okay. And it may not be an issue, you know, anymore, and it just hasn't been brought up, and they'll be like, yeah,
Yeah.
okay, fine, no problem, it's maybe just a holdover, but.
Yeah.
So the last thing was the Rural and Western Mass Conference on Saturday, which was so really interesting. One of the things I wanted to point out was about the because we've talked a lot about Chapter 70 formula
Mhm.
and whether we should push that and change.
Yes.
I didn't even think about this until it was brought up, but you know, if you open up the formula for changes and we don't have as much representation, it's not going to go in our favor. It's going to go in the favor of the people who have more reps, more population. So what people are trying to do, our legislators, is work on other issues, rural school aid, that will give us what we want, but not necessarily be a part of the formula. They're just afraid if
The change of the formula would benefit most towns, though.
depending on how they change it, that's the point.
Right.
In other words, you open it up at your own peril.
It's kind of like, do we want to have another constitutional convention?
So that was
Maybe
just, that was just what was presented, which I thought was very interesting way to look at it. So I thought I'd bring that up because we've talked about it so much. And then there was this other presenter who talked about how to save your town, and she did a really great job. It was very interesting. You know, because she kind of said, well, you know, normally somebody has an idea and they come to the select board, and then it's like, okay, let's form a committee. And then the committee does stuff and they develop a report, nothing's really happening. And then the report kind of sits there. And so she was saying the way that, the problem is you can't like get people in the committees because they're not necessarily that interested in doing that. So it's supposed to be an idea-driven methodology. So somebody has an idea that they really like, and then, you know, then they're motivated, and then you start building connections and getting people together. Everybody does little tiny steps. Like everybody can be involved, but they don't have to take on the whole thing. And I don't know. I'm not describing it nearly as well as she did, obviously, but it was an interesting approach. So I've got the link on there if you want to see what she was
Save
about.
your town.
Yeah, that's what they call it, Save Your Town. And you know, she talked about something like as simple as there was this playground that she actually grew up on, and the playground equipment was like deadly to children. It was from like the 50s, right? And there were sharp metal jagged pieces and everything. And so first, the people who were really concerned just painted it and took off the metal jagged pieces and stuff. And then things just got rolling with the parents, and then 5 years into it, they created a 501c3, and they've got all these new playgrounds. You know, in other words, something that people are really passionate about, they'll put their time into. And it was also don't tell people what to do. Let them come up with their own little steps. For instance, people were complaining about in one town, the sidewalks are revolting in our downtown, and we need to have a cleanup day. You know, city, take care of this. And they were trying to brainstorm things, and this one woman just said, well, I'll sweep in front of my store. And all of a sudden it was like, that's all it really took, was for one person to say, I'll take care of in front of my store. And then everybody else started doing that, and then it just kind of snowballed into almost like a competition for who could have the nicest sidewalk, you know? So, anyway.
I have a competition for who can pick up the most Tito's bottles.
I know. I was going to say something about litter.
There's some,
Save our town from litter.
yeah.
Anyway, so that's it for my update.
Well, thank you so much.
Thank you for having taught me about what's on my
Yeah, I'll show you later. Select board comments, concerns?
I got none right now.
Custodian, we already know we need a custodian. Lori had suggested to have that job out of the highway department. Now the highway department is also in charge of buildings and grounds. So it only makes sense to keep it there. I think the problem is that our highway super has needed an admin or an assistant for the longest time, and this assistant could take care of all these things. So I don't think I wouldn't move it to another department. There's no other department to move it to. But I do think that not only do we need a custodian, but the highway super needs an assistant big time. And if we can't get somebody in town to do this, we need to again look at other services, just not the same company we used prior, because obviously that didn't work. But I do agree with her that we shouldn't rely on you, Adam, or anybody else to do custodian work after their full-time jobs.
Oh, I don't have to pick up the trash anymore in the field?
Well, she is right. There's a lot of, even when I was putting in the security camera, there were people that came in on an off day, on the weekend, that were coming in to use the restroom. So,
Yeah, having to clean a public restroom is
yeah,
not
it's not fun.
Yeah.
in your job description.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I just wanted to bring that up. I think we need to, again, look outside of just hiring somebody and looking more into services again, if there's a service out there that we could use.
I did put it out to STEM, so hopefully somebody
Yeah.
will get back to me with,
I mean, if the woman on 116 who's found 1 billion people to do mold remediation, I think we can find a couple
yeah,
companies
right.
that can,
Yeah.
clean toilets.
I mean,
So-
yeah, like there's one, I mean, building maintenance is one thing, but I feel like just the custodial piece is completely, that's a different skill set. I mean, like you don't have to have someone who can come in and change,
Right.
whatever locks and stuff like that.
We get our grass mowed by third party. I think we can get our
Right, get our
building cleaned
toilets
by a
cleaned,
third party.
right, exactly.
Yeah. Okay. No mail, no announcements. Next meeting is on my freaking birthday, May 19th, at the grammar school. There's also going to be the pre-town meeting, which will follow that. Pre-town meeting,
7 o'clock.
7 p.m. to 8:30 p.m. at the Conway Grammar School. This is a discussion that is informal, nonpartisan, and without the time pressure of town meeting. Bring desserts to share. There will be or serving utensils if needed, and reusable cups and spoons. Beverages will be provided, but not alcoholic, unfortunately.
And it is Chris's birthday, so someone better bring a cake.
Yes, pre-town meeting at the school, Monday, May 19th, 7 p.m. Unless anybody has anything else, I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Thank you.